When you order a burger online, you think you are just ordering food. But behind that one burger, three different systems are working together. One system decides how ingredients are bought, stored, prepared, and delivered. One system makes sure the rider brings the food to your door. And one system manages what happens inside the restaurant: the staff, kitchen, machines, timing, quality, and daily work. To you, it is just a burger. But behind it, there is supply chain, logistics, and operations. And most people confuse these three words like they mean the same thing, but they don't. They are connected, but they are not the same. Let's understand it simply. Supply chain is the big picture. Logistics is the movement part. Operations is the work happening inside the business. Now imagine a simple example. You run a small pizza shop. To make one pizza, you need flour, cheese, tomato sauce, chicken, vegetables, packaging boxes, electricity, staff, ovens, and delivery riders. First, someone has to find suppliers for flour, cheese, and chicken. Then someone has to buy those ingredients. Then someone has to store them properly. Then someone has to make the pizza. Then someone has to pack it. Then someone has to deliver it to the customer. This complete journey from supplier to customer is called the supply chain. Supply chain management looks at the entire system. It asks, where do we buy from? How much stock do we need? When should we order again? How do we reduce waste? How do we keep costs low? How do we make sure customers receive products on time? So supply chain is the full journey. Now, logistics is one part of that journey. Logistics focuses mainly on moving and storing things. For example, how do ingredients reach the restaurant? Where are they stored? How are finished pizzas delivered? Which route should the rider take? How do we deliver faster and cheaper? That is logistics, in simple words. Logistics is about transportation, storage, and delivery. So if supply chain is the full movie, logistics is one major scene inside that movie. Now, operations is different. Operations is about what happens inside the business to turn inputs into outputs. In the pizza shop, operations means how the kitchen works, how the staff prepares orders, how the oven is used, how fast the pizza is made, how quality is controlled, how many workers are needed during busy hours, how the shop runs every day. So operations focuses on the internal process. It asks, how do we produce the product efficiently? How do we reduce mistakes? How do we improve speed? How do we keep quality consistent? How do we manage people, machines, time, and workflow? That is operations. So let's make the difference very clear. Supply chain asks, how does the product move from supplier to customer across the whole system? Logistics asks, how do we move and store goods efficiently? Operations asks, how do we run the internal work efficiently? Now let's apply this to a phone. Supply chain includes everything: raw materials, suppliers, factories, warehouses, shipping, stores, websites, and final customers. Logistics includes movement and storage, shipping parts, moving phones from factories to warehouses, transporting them to stores, and delivering online orders. Operations includes internal work, manufacturing the phone, assembling parts, quality checking, packaging, managing factory workers, and improving production speed. So when Apple sells an iPhone, it is not just using logistics. It is not just using operations. It is using all three. Supply chain connects the whole global system. Logistics moves the product through that system. Operations makes the product and manages the internal work. Now, why is this difference important? Because if you confuse these terms, you misunderstand how businesses actually work. A company can have good operations, but bad logistics. That means it can make a great product, but fail to deliver it on time. A company can have good logistic, but bad supply chain planning. That means it can move products fast, but still run out of stock because demand was predicted badly. A company can have good supply chain strategy, but weak operations. That means the plan looks good on paper, but the factory, warehouse, or store cannot execute it properly. This is why successful businesses need all three working together. Amazon is powerful because its supply chain, logistics, and operations are deeply connected. Its supply chain decides what products should be available and where. Its logistics system moves products quickly between warehouses and customers. Its operations system manages warehouses, workers, robots, packaging, scanning, and order processing. That is why Amazon does not just deliver products. It runs a complete system. Toyota also became famous because it connected supply chain, logistics, and operations through lean manufacturing and just-in-time production. The company did not only focus on making cars, it focused on reducing waste, managing suppliers, improving factory workflow, and delivering parts at the right time. So the difference is simple. Supply chain is the full network. Logistics is the movement and storage. Operations is the internal work that creates value. If you remember one line, remember this: supply chain connects the system, logistics moves the system, and operations runs the system. And now that you understand the difference between supply chain, logistics, and operations, the next natural step is to go back in time and ask, how did supply chain